guys, welcome back. Home Tour Podcast, episode 6. Holy cow, where the hell have we been the last few weeks? Like,
The
life
hell?
has kicked us in the butt these last few weeks, but man, it's good to be back with you guys. So,
Yes.
just quick recap. What's everybody been up to since our last live in session recording?
I feel as though what you just said of life kicking you straight in the butt is just the most accurate description of what's been going on. Yeah. So literally everything in the world that could have happened, I feel like, is what's happened. And 2024 said, have fun.
Here's your
Um,
2020 plate.
that's right. So now that things have calmed down, I'm excited that we're back and jumping into this thing.
Heck yeah.
How about
Christian,
you,
what have you been
Christian?
up to lately?
I don't remember, to be honest. That's how bad it was.
I feel that.
Yeah,
That's
it's been a
awesome.
roller coaster, I think, for everybody. And it's funny that it actually happened to all of us at the same time. Very personal and then work-wise,
Mhm.
Yep.
all mixed. And I think 2024 it's going pretty fast.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes.
yeah, it's like, I hope, what 2024 is doing is like putting all the stuff that we need to suffer with in the next 3 months. I mean, within the 3 months,
Yeah, just
and then the rest 9 months will be like all vacation,
we I'm on
like
board
That would
for
be
that.
nice,
If
right?
we could just
driving Lamborghinis and
let's
stuff
just
like
say it's all over by the end of this month. I'm down.
It would be
that. Yeah.
nice. Well, I'm gonna throw this one in there. I went to the dentist the other day, and they said, "Hey, you might have to have gum surgery here pretty soon."
Okay, can we
And I
talk about
said,
how that's getting a little bit too close to like
"Life,"
40s?
and I was like, "Gum surgery?" He's like, "Yeah, you have some gum recession happening," and I was like, "What the hell is gum recession?" I was like, I mean, I've been brushing my teeth and stuff since I was like had teeth, and I was like, he's like, no, no, it's like genetics and all this, and I was like, gum recession, what,
Okay.
like, and he goes,
Okay.
yeah, like we'll just take some of the gum from the top of your mouth and put them on top of your gums, and I was like, so it's from my own mouth and not a cadaver, correct? And he was like, yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and I was like, I need to know a dollar figure before we start talking,
I
because if
know,
we need
right?
to, we'll just rip them all out and give me dentures. Like I was like, oh my gosh. I was just like, I'm 36, man. I'm not ready to talk about gum
That's what I'm
recession.
talking about. Like, this
Hey.
can't be
God.
happening already. Like, everybody needs to
Oh,
calm down.
I was like, come on, man. I was like, I'm not ready for this.
That's
But
right.
anyway,
Mhm.
okay. This episode, we're gonna focus on how to like identify a fixer upper with opportunities, kind of navigating that real estate market of what is a fixer upper and how it can become your dream home. So like what are some ways that home comes on the market? Like how can we identify that and go, that's a fixer upper and I want to have it? Like what does that even look like?
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like this is twofold because it could be fixer-uppers is different depending on who you are. So if you're somebody who is, like, more of an investor and this is, growing your real estate portfolio versus this is gonna be your primary residence, I feel like the conversation changes a little bit, but let's just
Yeah.
assume that who we're talking to is primary residence kind of person. So, a lot of the times, especially in our area, a lot of the houses are, especially at certain price points, are, like, original to 1975. So and they may or
An
may not
untouched
be.
gem is what they would say
That's
in the
correct.
description.
That's correct. And they may or may not be beautiful in some ways to some people. However, if you're going for that, like, Chip and Joanna look that a lot of people are looking for, or just, like, clean lines, minimalistic, that has become even more popular recently, I'm gonna venture to say, especially in our area, you're probably gonna have lots of things could be considered fixer-uppers. Mainly because if you're not buying new construction,
It's a fixer upper.
what's popular now is not what you could buy that was originally built in '87, like my house.
Exactly.
So, I kinda feel like when I'm talking with my clients that everything is a fixer-upper possibility unless you're talking about new
Okay.
construction. But if you're really looking at, like, you're walking in and you're saying, like, "We got a new roof, we got a new HVAC, we're flooring, electrical," all of the main huge systems of the house,
Mhm.
that's when you kinda wanna start making sure that you're working with somebody who knows what they're talking about and can help guide you to make the best decisions because that kind of opportunity could be amazing and it could also be a cash pit. So,
Yeah.
you gotta be super careful.
Okay, so if we're looking at this as a primary somebody's primary purchase to be their home, they've talked to you, and now we gotta go over and talk to a Christian, our mortgage officer. What kind of loans are out there for this kind of renovation process?
So there are a few options out there. A lot of people think, just like Peyton said, if it's a primary residence, it's probably not something that is, what people want these days, farmhouse style or stuff like
Mhm.
that. We have my first house was in 1994 and we had popcorn ceiling. And that was the first thing that we wanted to get rid of. But that doesn't mean that's a fixer upper. It's something that you can renovate or update, more like that. So if it's a house that is ready to move in, if it's just cosmetic stuff, it just looks old, but everything is
Mhm.
functional, then you can just get a regular loan. You can get an FHA, USDA, VA if you
Mhm.
qualify for it, or a conventional loan. That doesn't prevent the loan from going just because it's old and it's outdated. If it's functional, then it's good. Now, if you want to do some updates, in the house, you can do it on your own. And then, how things are right now, everybody getting so much equity, you can wait a couple of years and then HELOC and then invest that money back into the house and make everything new. Now, in my eyes, a fixer upper is something that is not moving already. Something that may be missing flooring and maybe missing a roof. Something that it is potentially dangerous
Mm.
to move in, you know? So then we have to go into a kind of renovation loan. So we have an FHA renovation loan, a conventional renovation loan, whichever works the best for the borrower, credit wise, amount of money being borrowed is we'll go case by case in this scenario. Now for investors, a fixer upper is something that it could be something, like that
Yep.
they can buy for like 30 grand or
Yep.
$40,000 and it's $120,000 of the stuff to be fixed. And then they will sell it for 250, something like that. Then there is an option for that. That's actually a fix and flip kind of program. And now, it requires a heavier down payment, but the lender takes most of the risk. In most
Right.
cases, are going to be 65% the amount of money that we're going to lend.
Mm.
So, and then that's a huge opportunity. And then 65%, I'm talking about including renovations and everything else. So if you find a really good deal and then, we can actually, give you the 65%, you guys fix everything and then you can keep the house, just refinance it as an investment home or just sell it.
Mm.
Usually the terms are going to be not as nice as a lot of people want them, because it's now a primary residence.
Mm.
You probably is going to be higher interest rate. It's just interest payment only and most of the investors are going to give you 12 months to pay them back or pay the 12 months. And after that, you have to do refi on that or just sell the house within the first 12 months and then pay the lender back right away. So, and the only way they can make money is by charging you a high interest. So let's just think tell 10, 12%. Now, if you are in the business as an investor, this is actually cheap money. You flip the house so fast. I mean, if you've
Yep.
been doing this for so long, I mean, your gains are just like super high. You know, a lot of people say don't use your own money, use the bank's money.
Somebody else's. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The, I think I work with a couple of flippers, and so this I'm gonna air some dirty laundry here. So, I work with a couple of flippers that have me come out exactly, here we go, wave it on out there. The really good ones wanna document the process of the flip to really showcase, like, what they're doing, and so I'll go out every couple of weeks and really show. I've got one that I'm working on up in Atlanta. I've gone out 3 times to really document the process because he brought it from the city for like 100 grand, and he's gonna end up putting almost 200 grand into the house in total fixes because so he called me and he goes, "Hey, I don't have to give you a code. There's no key. It's wide open. Like, just let me know whenever you get there." I called him like as I'm driving up. He's like, "Oh, hey, I'm just a couple houses down in my other project, so I'm gonna meet you over there. Again, it's wide open, so feel free to go on in." I didn't know what he meant. I get there and it's just studs. There's no
Wild.
exterior,
Yeah, he
there's
literally meant
nothing.
that.
It's wide open. So I looked at him, I was like, "So there's a house, right?" He's like, "Yeah, there's just the studs." And I was like, "Perfect.
Yep. So
Here
you
we
start
go."
with.
And so that was just one of those first, but he was like, "No," he's like, "I'm changing the entire floor plan, so I wanna show how, like, we're going from this process to the final product." And so, like, we've done video, like, we're have, like, the whole mapping, the floor plan to show it all off in here in a couple of months once he's finished, but, like, those are the ones I really like to work with, is they wanna showcase, like, "This is what I'm doing for my customer, like, this is what we're doing." And but then there's the other ones that go in and have the landlord flip where they just paint over everything, and you can just see, like, the light switch has paint on it, and so you're like,
The
this
outlets.
is
Yeah.
yeah, this
Didn't
is
even
not
take
good.
didn't even use the screwdriver to take off the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So those are the ones where I'm like, "Oh, this is one of those kind of flips."
Yeah.
But, like, the flips that are really good, like, you can tell whenever they
Yes.
spent time with them. So those are the ones, and it's always funny because we have to try to think of whenever we do our social marketing for all this, and we have to think of, like, the catchy lines to really get some people's attentions, and I always laugh whenever I see somebody put, like, "This one has great potential." In other words, "This is a shithole."
Yeah. This is a shit show. Welcome.
Like so,
Yeah.
like, those are the ones where I'm just like, "Oh, man, here we go."
Oh, yeah.
Like, here we go.
Yeah, whenever
But,
I can read in the MLS description that people are using keywords like that, or they say something about, like, being quaint or
oh my
it's
gosh,
always like
yes.
it makes it sound so cute and
Yes.
exciting for as a buyer, because when you're reading that
You're like
stuff on Realtor.com or Zillow or wherever you're reading this, but when I'm reading it
yeah,
as a realtor, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and make notes about that one. That
Yeah.
one's mentally
yeah.
prepare for the shit show you're about to walk into."
Like the
My
mechanic
favorite
especially when you're buying a car.
oh,
Mechanic special,
yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, great,"
So exciting.
Also, yeah,
Nope,
it's like, yeah.
nope. And another one I always, especially if you use all caps, "Price to move" or "Price to sell," I'm like,
Mm,
in other words, it's been sitting and you're ready to be done with it.
right.
Like, you gotta really be careful of what you're putting out there about a house,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
Yeah, price
mm.
improvement, that's very
That's the
common with
nice
Zillow right
way.
now.
That's the nice
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
approach.
Exactly. But so, like, what are some steps to really maximizing that return on the investment in a fixer upper? Like, are we talking about, like, if it's just a new roof, new AC unit, or if there's, like, some stuff that we can really do in the home to increase the value? Like, what are some of those kind of things that we can walk the buyer through if this is gonna be their permanent home of residence?
So a lot of times, like, adding things. So, okay, let's go back. People get so excited about renovations because they love the design selections. They love, this is the exciting
Yep.
part, right? But then when things start to get hairy is when you end up spending more money than you are
Yeah.
potentially
Your
gonna,
budget.
you know, and things and just everything goes to hell in the handbasket. So I always tell people, like, let's make, like, a vision board of, like, what you think is
Mhm.
important to you, what you would love if money was no object. And then let's work backwards from that and meet your budget halfway somewhere. So what we're dealing with a lot of people a lot of times is a very naive not understanding of the true cost of a lot of these things, especially when you're
Mhm.
talking about construction costs, hiring general contractors, the labor, all of that involved with replacing an entire roof or, redoing your floor plan. But when you're talking about making the most money, paint, changing things to be more neutral, getting rid of things
Mhm.
that make the house feel choppy. So if you're redoing, you want to take out a wall or something, let's talk about that
Mhm.
because that might sound like a great idea. But if that's a load bearing wall and now you're about to spend 15 grand to bring in a
Yep.
beam,
Yeah.
that might blow the budget. So, and a lot of people don't understand those things. But, if you want to add quick equity to your house, adding more square footage, adding bathrooms, kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, and just overall making the house more neutral in general.
I like that. Just a key thing too that I've seen, just upgrading your type of lights that you put in your house too.
Mm,
Like if you're still using the old school screw-in bulbs versus like having somebody come in and put in some fixtures, like
yep.
just little things like that too, just like your overall lighting will also increase too. Plus it makes it just looks brighter. I know that you and I we've got these yellow cast lights, but I really like the cool blues that makes
Mhm.
everything look daylight in the house. And so like just little things like that too. It's nothing that's gonna like break a budget like, you could replace all your light bulbs in your house for a couple $100.
Yeah.
And so just stuff like that too, like, just little things too. So, like, that also helps on the flip side when somebody walks into the house, and if you have a whole room that's the yellow cast like what we have here
Mhm.
versus somebody that has a cool blue in another room, like, if it doesn't match, it also just doesn't set the aesthetic. And so,
Right.
like, you kinda really wanna think through, like, before you have an open house, if you're selling your home, like have the same light bulbs in every single room at the
Every
same
room.
wattage too,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
just
Yep.
little things like that help too.
Yeah. There's nothing more annoying as a realtor. Well, there are a lot of annoying things, but when I'm looking
I was
through
about to say, where are we going?
right. No, when I'm looking through the listing photos and every photo of every room, literally the hue of every room is different.
Different. Yeah. It can play it like, for me, it just plays with my mind all day because 'cause I'll go into a room and, like, one bulb will be off or,
Yeah.
like, it'll just be, like, something minor that only is it's only for me that's, like, freaking out about it, and I'm like, "Just gonna turn all the lights off,
Yep. I'd
make
rather I'd,
everything look the same."
I'd rather it just be
So
dark.
yeah, and that's like for this I know this doesn't have anything on topic, but, like, another way that I help prepare a room, if all the blinds, whenever I go in, I try to get them all at the same height, that I
Mm,
try to turn them all the same way, that way it just looks uniform throughout the whole house.
yeah.
And so, like, anything that you can do on the resale, like, before you have a listing photo done, try to make every room identical in terms of, like, blinds, like, go blinds are stupid cheap at Home Depot or Lowe's, by the way, we're also looking for sponsors, so Home Depot, hit us up. So, like, I think we changed out all the blinds in our house for, like, $300, and we didn't buy anything crazy, it was just, like, your standard stuff, and so, like, that's also, like small increase in value, but everything makes it look better too for the potential person walking in.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
like, just things like
Totally
that.
agree.
True.
And so, like but, like, Christian, what do you see on the flip side of all this? After a loan process, like, do you guys get to see, like, anything that happens with the flip, or you're like, "Hey, the money's done, like, I don't care what happens." Like, what's your like, what do you do after a
Well,
loan?
I mean, obviously, the investor would like to see that their money is actually being has been put to work. You know, it's like, oh, you asked for 65%, you put the money down, whatever, and then the house is just not, what it's supposed to be. Maybe needs more stuff. Maybe it wasn't done properly. That's why there is a list, of vendors or contractors that you have to have handy. That's what I will recommend everybody. Somebody that has been recommended to you before that can get everything in a fast, timely manner, but also do a nice work.
Mm,
Mhm.
Because when you're not that well experienced, we tend to make mistakes, and these mistakes are going to be very expensive.
very costly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and we want to make sure if a mistake happens, it can be fixed fast. One, because you're still paying money every single month, and that's just wasting money if you don't know what you're doing. Because after that, you have to list the house, and then it may take
Mhm.
X amount of time to put it on the contract. Do whatever you need to do, but we know, it will take 30 days. You put the house in the market, and then it goes on a contract the same day, and then whoever is buying it, whoever the lender is, I mean, can go as fast for always 2 weeks, or it can go 3-4 weeks. Now that's
Mhm.
money for the investor too, that amount of time, you know?
Yeah.
So we really want to make sure we have a list of things, and I think the real estate agent is very important in this transaction because they know what they're doing. If it's a first time investor, then I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, you find the very best real estate agent,
Mhm.
Payton, and just sit down with her and talk about, the people that she knows,
Yeah. Yep.
because this is going to make everything easier. And I think most of your money, the compensation should go to the real estate agent because he's saving you money in the long run.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
you know,
Preach.
yeah,
for sure.
buy her dinner, flowers, wine. I don't know, anything, because this is literally what is gonna make a relationship that is gonna make you more money in the future. Now, if it's your primary residence, is gonna be your first house, then I will strongly suggest to listen to your agent,
Yeah.
because there are things that we dream and then we need a bubble to be burst
Mhm.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
It cannot, your first house cannot be perfect. It's your first
Mm-mm.
house. You have to mess up. You have to do everything that
You have to
makes
mess
that
up.
house.
I mean,
Yeah, I always
Love
tell
it.
everybody, it's like, is if you buy this house, it's gonna make your situation better.
mhm.
Yep.
That's the only thing that matters at
Mhm.
this point. You live in a 1 bedroom apartment, you buy a house, it's a 3 bedroom house, and it's your rent is higher than the mortgage on this house, and your
Mhm.
situation is getting, even if it's the same payment, your situation is getting better. Oh, but it doesn't have 5 bathrooms. It doesn't have a tennis court. It's like, well, it's not going to happen in the beginning.
Nope.
It's baby
No.
steps all the time. But your agent is going to tell you, this is how much potential you have if you want to stay
Mhm.
in this property, or this is how we are going to start your wealth
Yeah.
you
Bingo.
know but you have to listen to the people that actually have experience doing this. First time home buyers, please,
Preach.
this is your first time doing it. So,
Mhm.
and then you're talking to people that do it every single day. But, I mean, I made mistakes, ton of mistakes. There are people helping me fix those mistakes as fast as they can, and I'm really thankful for that. And then, Tyler, you've been doing this for quite a while now, so you have so many tips to everybody. Like, just how what you were saying, just put blinds, it makes it a little better. Maybe it doesn't improve the value of the home, but improves other things.
Right.
Mhm.
It makes it more desirable.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the first things. Like, people walk in and they're like, or I don't know about those blinds,
Mhm.
and then there are people like,
Yep. Whatever. I'll just fix it myself. Yep. Exactly.
exactly. Yeah. So I remember listing our house back in 2021, and we did the small things. We did the kitchen. It was a very small project, but flooring, paint, did a lot,
Mhm.
and lighting. Lighting was, whoa. That changed everything and made it so desirable.
Mm.
Make it a little bit lighter. And then in this case, I mean, we had rooms that were for reading, and then we had warm lights, and then we had a
Yeah.
kitchen that had like the daylight
Mm.
Mhm.
bulbs, because I mean that's how I wanted it to be. But it worked pretty good. We changed the door, and then actually when we did our taxes, I told a lady, "Hey, we changed the door." Oh yeah, that's an energy efficient change or whatever.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
then
Tax
you get
write-offs.
more money back. And then
Yep.
those little things, I mean, it doesn't need to be a ton of money. It doesn't need to be 30 grand. It may be $2,000, and then you can sell your
Yep.
house for more
Yep.
than you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, whenever we were trying to list ours a couple months ago, our agent literally told us, she was like, if you were to put like a 3 foot, like a 5-inch tile around the bathtub, this becomes not just a master bathroom, but it becomes a master bathroom suite. It's a little upgrade, just a little small something.
Mhm.
And then we were able to tack on an extra couple $1,000s to our list price just because we did a small upgrade.
Yeah.
And so, like,
You know,
just
tile
little
on my
things like that, like,
bedroom.
duh. So bring it on. But I think that comes to a conclusion on how we can talk about like a fixer upper versus a flip. So, like, any other closing thoughts before we wrap out episode 6?
I think Christian summed it up the best. Make sure you're working with somebody that you trust and that they're not a yes man, and
Mhm.
that you are open to hearing things that you may not want to hear, but that you're willing to have a conversation about, and that the person that you're working with is well versed to be able to point out these things to you, because it's all beautiful and it's all exciting when it's your purchase or your first house, or you're blind to the things that might become a problem down the line, and it's your agent's job to help point out those things to you that could be small, could be large, could be fun, could be a nightmare. So listen to the people that you're choosing to work with, because that's going to make or break your experience and your long-term
Yeah,
success for building walls.
that's
Boom.
true.
Love it. Well, guys, thank y'all so much. Episode 6 is now wrapped. And stay tuned. Next week, we'll have episode 7, and come on back and see what all kind of craziness we're doing here on the Home Tour Podcast. Okay.
See
Peace out,
ya.
guys. See ya.
Cheers, mate.
Did you say cheers?